Hi everyone, welcome to the sharing session. In this session, we want to share more information on the life of Dr. Maria Montessori. Indeed, this is one of the highlights of Maria Montessori's career. There were two people who greatly influenced her work. They were Jean-Marc Gaspard-Itard and Edward Segan. Jean-Marc Gaspard-Itard was a French doctor well known for working with the deaf and mute children. Often, he would observe children in the hospitals and develop a range of educational approaches for the improvement of these children. Edward Segan, who was also a student of Itard, was also a French doctor, and he worked with the cognitive delayed children. He developed many materials based on sensory explorations. One of such material was the Segan board, which is still being used. Another material was the grooved letters, which Montessori modified into the sandpaper letters. Maria Montessori, who was also working with mentally challenged children at that time, employed the concepts of Itard and Segan, and she started training children with physical activities. Some of these activities later developed into Montessori sensorial materials at Casa di Bambini. Well, it was all her work of observation at Casa di Bambini that led her to discover the natural growth and development of children. And this observation led to discoveries which later set the foundation for her teaching method. Let's find out more. What did these children reveal to her at Casa di Bambini? She noticed they had a deep concentration and a love for repetition. This discovery was observed when children were engaging with the materials repeatedly without being tired. One day, Maria Montessori came to the school and the children had started working with the materials. She walked around the classroom, but the children did not greet her. They were simply engrossed in their materials and were repeating over and over again. Montessori saw this repetition as a way of how children discover new skills and knowledge. She also noticed children had a love for order. Amazingly, they put back the materials where they took from. This discovery made Maria Montessori realize the importance of structure and order in the environment, where children can learn to trust and interact with it in a positive way. An incident took place on one occasion where the teacher assistant had forgotten to lock the shelves before going home. When she came to work the next day, she saw children helping themselves with the materials. She was furious. However, this incident became another discovery for Maria Montessori. She noticed children taking, working, and putting the materials back in order because they knew how to use them. This led her to wonder how would the methodology work for normal children, and she waited for many years for the right opportunity to come by. In fact, this whole experience led her to view education differently. In one of her visits to the asylum, she noticed children were searching for leftover crumbs on the floor after meals. She did not like what she saw and was very disturbed by this sight. At the same time, she noticed the environment had no toys or materials of any kind for children to hold on or manipulate in their fingers. She believed these children threw themselves on the floor in a desperate attempt to fill the emptiness in their minds, and to do so, their only means was through their hands. The more she worked with this group of children and the more she observed their behaviors, Montessori felt that a change to the environment with appropriate materials to engage the children would change their conditions. This was when she started to use sensory explorations and manipulatives to train these children. Results were achieved, and this was how she quoted in her book: "The hands are the man's instrument, and nothing goes through the mind without going through the hands." Hence, her work in the asylum led her to believe education must be looked upon from the perspective of the pedagogy view. It is the way how knowledge and skills are imparted during learning which will shape an individual's actions, judgments, and interests. Definitely, during her era, women were never seen in many areas to have equal standing with men. They were mostly defined by men to be valued mainly as wives and mothers. In fact, Montessori was met with hostility and harassment from some medical students and professors because of her gender. During her studies, Maria Montessori had to do dissection alone on the dead bodies at night. Like any other students in her position, Montessori felt immense pressure and was almost at a breaking point. She was overwhelmed by a feeling of despair and wanted to give up her medical career. She came to a park and met a beggar with a little child playing with a small piece of paper. It was the child's total absorption in the little script it was playing that set the ultimate moment for Montessori telling herself not to give up. Well, this is an interesting question. In the orthopedic school, Montessori continued her experiments and observations of children and developed her innovative ideas on child pedagogy. Through the refinement of her methodology, she managed to lead some of her deficient children to pass state exams with the same performance as normal children. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Looking forward to connect with you soon.